But I think there is a sort of instinct among many to think that if something happened, it should be an individual, because a hallucination is easier to imagine with one person in the room.
Right.
If you've got a group in the room, it's much harder to credit that or think that really happened. The truth is, again, to go back to the parapsychological literature, which many people deride, but when it comes to simply recording experiences and telling you what people said, they have been doing that for a long time. And there are tons of stories of collective visions. It's a recent book that came out of, it's 5 or 6 years old now, it came out of Iceland. And if you go through all these stories of people supposedly encountering the dead, quite a few of them, I went through and checked them, quite a few of them involve multiple people.
What do you
So
think?
yeah, that was Dale basically at first poo-pooing me and saying, I don't think me specifically, because that's not the point of it, but with the single person hypothesis saying, well, maybe you're taking that route because it's easier to explain psychologically. So he was saying, oh, that's maybe the easy way out. But he's also on the flip side saying, you don't need to take that easy way out if you look at all the non-Christian literature, which I know he's sometimes criticized for looking at all these other sources for people who claim miracles. He's just saying, look, we got group claims throughout antiquity and throughout modern day of the dead people rising. So why are we bending backwards to try and explain it psychologically for Christians when it seems to appear elsewhere? So it's not uncommon. Is that what you took from it?
Yeah, 100%. So he's granting you, he almost is giving you, letting you have that argument to the single person that could explain it, but he's saying you don't need to, and he's giving you another like easy way out, really, by saying maybe there's some human psychological reasons why people in groups are experiencing things, and it's more difficult because we don't quite understand it as much as we could simply look at Oliver Sacks' work, for example, about hallucinations and go, oh yeah, there's something in their head that's making them see this or whatever. But if you're looking at group settings, there are non-Christian group attestations to things, or Christian non-Jesus, for example, with Mary, like Fatima. I was reading that this morning because I didn't know if we were going to go there, but there's 3 girls that had this vision of Mary, and 2 of them died within the next few years, but it's like in 1917, and then one lived to like 2005. But like they told secrets to them, the whole 9. You could see myth making right there in Mary, not even Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
So this could explain if he's like, I'm going to grant the 12, and they were looking in the sky, got blinded by the light. Probably, here's another thing to consider. When someone dies and they're in that mourning phase, they're not celebrating at Passover. Let's grant that he dies on Passover at this time. They're not celebrating. They're mourning. So they're in a traumatic situation. They're probably fasting. Now they're not eating. They're probably not sleeping. They're all hypersensitive. I've drove after not being asleep for 3 days. I started seeing things. I'm not making that up. They're a week without this stuff. You think they're going to see Jesus? I bet you they will. They'll see whatever their brain is wanting them to see at this point. And it could be a group. It could be a group. And they could all then collectively, their memory would evolve and fuse into one collective. I think that was Jesus. That could explain the group message.
So I still think we've thrown the phrase Occam's razor around. I still feel like it doesn't need an explanation, but he's not wrong. If you think that all those stories that don't corroborate each other create a motif of corroboration, which is, I think, what he would say, then you have a ready explanation for it, as you said. Cool.